What is the funniest thing you've seen happen in public? About 6 years ago I was the passenger in the car with my grandfather and we were sitting at a red light on a hill going down. We had our windows open because it was a really nice day. Suddenly we heard woo yee-yah coming from behind us. We both turned in our seats and saw a very old-looking man in a wheelchair flying down the hill on the sidewalk with his arms up in the air, occasionally reaching down to push his wheels for more momentum. Then a woman who appeared to be in her 50s came into view and she was yelling, "Stop this right now, George. This is not funny." While attempting to chase him, the light turned green so we just continued to go. I do not know what happened to George after that. Two brothers handcuffed together were waiting outside a courtroom when they decided to boogie, ran out the front door and were running down the street, got to a stop sign, one went left, the other right and they ended up smacking together on the other side when their cuffs caught on the sign pole. They smacked together and fell to the ground. Cop chasing them was laughing so hard he had to stop running. When I lived in Maryland, I saw some jackass with hydraulics on his car bouncing through a grocery store parking lot. Apparently his loud, thumping bass distracted him from the upcoming speed bump, which he proceeded to bottom out on and lose his muffler. I never laughed so hard. I once heard a kid make up his own joke. Knock knock, who's there? Mattress. Mattress who? Mattress for you to sleep on. Oh great, come in. Hey, you're not a mattress, you're a pillow. Why did you trick me? Because I am a mattress. I saw someone pick up a poop in $1. Poop dollar. A dude doing his woman in a fountain on the main shopping street, very populated. The weirdest part, he was staring people down with a really intense look when he caught someone glimpsing at him. Damn awkward. Pledges of a fraternity at my school all dressed up in different Super Mario characters. Each one rode a tricycle with 3 balloons tied to the back, and played Super Mario Kart on the main street. I was standing next to a sizable black woman in a Chicago grocery store. Suddenly, her attempt to shoplift an entire ham was foiled when it fell out of her enormous coat. She jumped up and yelled, "WHO fruit" at me. I was at a bookstore and an old man had overalls on over a green shirt, looking a lot like Luigi. Some 20-year-old kid walks up and asks if he can get a picture with him. The old man stared at the kid and started freaking out on him. It was hilarious. Just this morning I drove past an Oldsmobile with a Ken doll taped to the hood. It isn't much but it definitely made my day. I was at a beach and I was just sitting outside and this guy comes running and runs right into a sign. He was fine but it really made me laugh. Saw a man dressed in all black sitting at a bus stop. On his lap, facing him, was a legless mannequin also wearing all black. They had matching black lipstick. He was brushing her black wig and speaking to her tenderly. What? A cocky, extravagantly dressed gentleman strutting about with his chest out as he cruised the room for ladies, only to sneeze and have his false teeth fly right the duck out of his mouth like Uncle Phil chucking jazz out of his home in Bel Air. Oh, and in a black and white TV, slapstick style the Three Stooges would be proud of, he went scrambling after them, only to boot them another 10 feet away. No one made a noise out of embarrassment for the poor ducker, until that one person who just couldn't hold back made that tiny snort of amusement, and the 20-30 folks who witnessed this ducking erupted. Tears were shed, faces were hid, white people flopping and draping all over each other like black guys do. It was brilliant. I was in church a few years ago and this 5-year-old boy was laying down across the pew. He was asleep with one hand in his pants the entire time. It took all of my self-control to not burst out laughing whenever I looked at him. I watched a large middle-aged man come out of a gas station holding 2 12-packs of beer and a bunch of snack food. He stepped on a small patch of ice and proceeded to do the splits in slow motion. I had no idea what to do so I just stopped and stared. When he finally made it to the ground he rolled off the sidewalk into the parking lot, looked at me and said, "Well, that sucked." It took everything in me to not burst into laughter. He was already up by the time I got to him to give him a hand. Went to a bar for a night out with friends. At some point during the night a whole bunch of guys entered. The funny thing was that one of them was holding a giant inflatable penis. They were having a bachelor party. I can't remember much of the night, just that I woke up the next morning with a penis in my bed. WTF. I saw a 15-year-old boy get sprayed in the face by some fountains in Boston, and immediately start crying. My father and I were in hysterics. When I was about 11, my grandmother took me and my brother to see a VeggieTales show. It was like a play and they were wearing costumes. Halfway through the play, the cucumber, I don't know his name, his eyeball fell off his costume. He tried to pick it up but couldn't due to the fact that he was wearing a cucumber costume that went down to his ankles. He fell flat on his face and fell off stage. I still remember laughing my ass off at the helpless cucumber. While buying some snacks and drinks at an airport convenience store, I watched an old man try to discreetly take a nudie magazine off the top rack. Being small in size and stature, he was having trouble getting it down. Eventually he pulled the whole rack down, picked up the one he wanted, purchased it and walked out like nothing happened. To this day I still chuckle thinking about that poor man. I worked in a doctor's office for a while. One day we had a patient come in and start going off on us for her insurance not paying for a medication or something we had nothing to do with. It wasn't even a medication we had prescribed her. When she was leaving, in the middle of a huge meltdown about how bad our office sucked, the door hit her in the face and knocked her weave off. I was walking along the street, with a quite attractive woman in front of me about 30-40 feet. Another guy was walking towards us. As he passed the woman, he turned his head to admire the exceptional curves this woman possessed, at which point he walked straight into telephone pole. He was scrambling to his feet as I passed him, so I just said the first thing I thought of, was it worth it? I was at the zoo and some guy let his kid drive the golf cart. The kid put his drink or something in the cup holder and pulled the wheel down with him. He ran over a trash can and nearly like 20 people XD. My friends and I snuck out one night to go power box houses when we came across a house where some guy was drilling his girlfriend in the front yard. As I turned and noticed what was happening, I happened to make eye contact with the girl up against the wall. She was trying really hard to be quiet, but just could not seem to. My black friend happened to think it was hilarious and shouted, "Dude, nice rack." We ran right as we yelled, and still will never know if we cock-blocked the guy or not. Saw this dude on the subway that was a little crazy, a little funny and definitely homeless, perform what was basically a stand-up act on a crowded train. This included pole dancing for an attractive girl, where he ended by professing his love and serenading her poorly on one knee. He then proceeded to pull thong underwear out of his bag of stuff, and put it on his face. He closed by asking for money with this gem. Him, what is the root of all evil? Crowd money. Him, tha's right, now gimme all the evil out your wallets. A few months ago, my friend and I were walking out of Walmart but paused to wait for my mom to catch up. A man walked past us and started to walk with determination towards the sliding doors labeled "Enter Not Exit." He was walking fairly quickly, and as he approached the enter doors, you could just see the moment of realization he had that the doors weren't going to open, but he was already too close to stop. He just sort of flung his arms out crossed in front of him and ran straight into the door, then turned and walked out the other ones like nothing happened. This winter, there was a lot of ice on the ground after a big storm, so to get to the quad from my dorm you have to walk downhill a bit, and this one on top decided he needed to run down the hill. Just ended up hitting an ice patch and gliding down the hill, taking out people's legs. Funniest thing ever watching it from behind. I was on that kind of like the subway, except it's not always. Sub in Boston, headed to an evening class. It's standing room only as usual. There's a kid sitting in a seat by the door. He's maybe 4 or 5. He's got a set of keys on him. I see him lean forward to the wood panel in front of him. 2 stops later, he gets up and leaves with, I assume, his mom. I look at the wood panel to see what he was doing. keyed into the wood panel were the words "Lethal Fury." I laughed so hard, I teared up a little. When I was 14, me and my brother went to St. Patrick's in Belfast. At around 1-2ish we went to an ATM to lift money. The man in front of us was so intoxicated that after he lifted his money he pulled his trousers down around his ankles, then urinated on the cash machine, fell over while still pissing, was lying in a pool of his own piss. Me and my brother decided to go to a different cash machine. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.